Spider-Man and Invincible have a lot in common, and people love comparing them, especially when both of them are teenagers balancing school, family, and superhero life, which makes them much more relatable than other heroes like Batman.
No, I mean, you're a man who dresses like a bat, and your name is. Well, yeah, I mean, like, don't you think that's kind of lazy?
I mean, look, if you ask anyone who their favorite superhero is, you're gonna be getting a different answer every single time. But most of the time, you're gonna be hearing Spider-Man, undoubtedly one of the best superheroes out there, and my absolute favorite. And that is after Jesus Christ, because he is the best superhero. But if we're talking about comic book superheroes, Spider-Man and Invincible are quickly becoming people's favorite. In fact, most of Spider-Man's fans are Invincible fans in their own right. And that's because Spider-Man and Invincible are awfully similar. They both started being superheroes while still in high school and grew up alongside their fans. They struggled balancing their normal lives with their superhero job, and both of them are awkward around women, which makes them much more relatable to those of us who've ever tried talking to their crush and fumbled every single word. But somehow they both managed to win over a blonde and later on ended up with a redhead. They both get their faces smashed in on a regular basis, although Spider-Man's writer seems to have more personal problem with him, since they're always treating him like a human punching bag. So I understand when people say they're the same person with different superpowers, and it doesn't help refute it when their number one rule makes them both hold back while they're fighting their enemies. But beyond these similarities, these characters have about 5 key distinct differences that makes them complete unique superheroes. And no, I'm not talking about their tights and the color of their suits, or even about their obvious different superpowers. These differences go way deeper, affecting these characters in ways that makes them their own kind of heroes. You could probably try imagining them in each other's outfits, or with reverse superpowers, and it would still feel weird. And that's because of the first difference, their source of motivation. Spider-Man's motivation comes from guilt, that one mistake that changed everything. The one time he could have stopped the bad guy but didn't, and it cost him the only man who truly believed in him. His entire hero journey is built on that guilt. Every punch he throws, every risk he takes, is him trying to make sure no one else loses their Uncle Ben. Invincible, on the other hand, has complete opposite motivation. Mark doesn't start because of guilt. He starts because he wants to be like his dad. He idolizes Omni-Man. It's admiration and not regret. And that's what makes his fall so painful. Spider-Man's pain comes from losing somebody he loved. Invincible's pain comes from realizing the person he loved was never who he thought he was. That's two different kinds of trauma, and both shape their morality in completely opposite directions. In other words, Peter fights to fix what's broken, and Mark fights to not become what's broken. And you can even compare that to Batman, a man motivated by trauma too, but his trauma froze him in time, and he never moved on. Spider-Man did. He keeps on going, he cracks jokes, and takes photos for rent money, because that's what Uncle Ben would have wanted for him. Invincible though, every punch he throws carries that fear of turning into his dad. His journey isn't about fixing mistakes, it's about surviving his own bloodline. The second difference, and maybe the most important, is how the world treats them. Peter lives in a world that constantly underestimates him. The Daily Bugle calls him a menace, his best friends hate Spider-Man, and the city he protects usually blames him for its problem. He's the superhero version of working hard and still getting yelled at by your boss. He's loved and hated at the same time. Invincible though, everybody expects greatness from him. He's the son of Omni-Man, Earth's strongest protector, so everyone thought. So from day one, he's under a microscope. Every hit he takes, every failure, every mistake, people compare him to his dad. His challenge is proving he's different, unlike Peter, whose challenge is proving he's capable. And that difference changes how they both handle the mask. Peter hides because he doesn't want fame. Mark hides because he doesn't want people to see the truth about where he came from. Think about that contrast. Peter runs from recognition because it ruins his life, and Mark runs from legacy because it defines his. In a weird way, you can also draw a line to Superman here. And I know I'm reaching, but Clark Kent was raised human and learned to be humble with his power. And by the way, I'm gonna be dropping a Clark Kent video that's gonna be a banger, so make sure you're subscribed. The next difference is their relationship with violence. This one hits hard. Spider-Man avoids killing at all costs. He pulls punches, he holds back, because he knows what it's like to take a life indirectly. He knows what happens when you cross that line, and he'd rather take a beating than break his moral. Invincible, though, lives in a world where holding back gets people killed. He doesn't have the luxury of clean victories like Spider-Man does. When he fights, entire cities crumble. He can't save everyone, and the show never lets you forget that. It's one of the most brutal lessons in storytelling. Spider-Man saves individuals, and Invincible tries to save humanity, and they both fail, but for different reasons. Spider-Man's failure is emotional. He can't protect the people closest to him. Invincible's failure is physical. He cannot protect everyone else. And that's the irony. Peter's the emotional victim of his own heart, while Mark is the physical victim of his own strength. You can even compare this to Homelander from The Boys. Homelander loves violence because it feeds his ego. Mark hates violence because it destroys his soul. Same power, but opposite spirits. And yes, I know Invincible is much stronger than Homelander, so let's not get into that. That's not the point here. The next, and it's maybe the one that shaped each of these characters, and that's their mentors and moral anchors. Spider-Man's mentor is Uncle Ben. A man with zero power, zero armor, but somehow infinite wisdom. He teaches Peter that with great power comes great responsibility. That line defines Peter's worldview. It's his moral software. Uncle Ben gave him direction. Invincible's mentor, on the other hand, is Omni-Man, a father figure who taught him the opposite. He taught Mark pride instead of humility. And when that truth finally cracked, Mark was left with nothing. No guidance, no clarity, just absolute chaos. So while Peter inherited morality, Mark had to build it from scratch. Spider-Man's story is about preserving good, and Invincible's story is about learning what good even means. And that's why their arcs hit differently. Peter always has Ben's voice in his head, reminding him of his purpose. Mark has Omni-Man's voice haunting him, a constant reminder of what he never wants to be. It's poetic. One man's conscience was born from a hero, and the other from a villain. Which brings us to the last point, ladies and gentlemen. And if you've made it this far to the video, maybe you should subscribe. Enough with the yapping. The last point is the weight of legacy. Spider-Man's legacy is local. Queens, New York, the neighborhood. He's the friendly guy who saves your life and disappears before you can even thank him. His wins are small but meaningful. Stopping a mugger, saving a train, keeping a city together through kindness. But he's okay dying as a nobody if it means someone else gets to live, because to him, being a hero is not about fame, it's about duty, and that's what I love about him. Invincible's legacy is cosmic. His fights is literally for the soul of humanity. His victories decide whether Earth gets to stay free or becomes another colony under the Viltrum Empire. He's about resistance, while Spider-Man's heroism is about love. And both have that unspoken question under the surface. How much of myself do I have to lose to keep saving everybody else? That's the curse of every true hero. Not the power, but the cost. And these two pay it in completely different currencies. Peter pays with loneliness, and Mark pays with innocence. Oh man, that's been a long video. But that's basically why people love comparing them. Because both stories remind us of the same truth. Being a hero is not about strength, it's about surviving what strength costs you. And yet both of them keep going. Not because they believe they'll win, but because quitting is not an option. So maybe in the end, they're two sides of the same coin. And maybe that's why, no matter how many heroes come and go, we keep coming back to these two. Because they don't just save the world, they feel what it means to carry it. I'm curious what you think. So let me know in the comments, and peace out. I'll see you guys next week.